So I'm Clayton Wood, co-founder of Seamlss. I also am the owner of Business Edge Advisors. So as an accountant, I was able to see the problem that we all have with onboarding, verification and engagement, and therefore my other co-founder, Daniel, worked it up and we coded it out over the last few years, and we've built Seamlss, and now the platform is working really great and really filling that niche of helping firms onboard their clients in a whole lot better way. So the challenges that everyone has at the moment is a very time-consuming process. If you've got a client with lots of entities, generally the admin could spend anywhere from half an hour to a couple of hours of onboarding multiple entities. With that, obviously, you can get data entry errors. People could be filling out forms, might be scribbling on paper, could be just miskeying. Also get some compliance issues with maybe you haven't engaged them, maybe you didn't add all the entities to the engagement letter, which I know I've done in the past. So you can avoid that. That'd be great. Client verification obviously added a new process to everyone's firms in the last 12, 18 months. We've obviously got a couple of options in Seamlss to fulfill that need. And most people don't have much of a standard process with onboarding. So a lot of firms it's just disjointed. Like they'll use a paper form one day, maybe it's over email, maybe it's a jot form, maybe it's a type form. A lot of different things that everyone's sort of using to smush it all together to get that onboarding process. And it could even be that the client's using multiple different apps just to get to that one end result. It can be quite frustrating. So it's just a bad, poor customer experience for them. And their initial onboarding experience with your firm can be quite underwhelming. So the whole point of Seamlss was to make it easy, secure, keep everything off email, automate that whole process, especially the re-engagement, allow firms to update those details, customize your templates. So we've got multiple template options there. Obviously, it integrates with XPM, but not all firms using Seamlss have XPM. A lot of firms do use it with MyOb AOAE. There is no way to get data into MyOb, but doesn't mean you can't use Seamlss. It still collects the data and makes that process smooth for your clients and the firm. Plus, you can do your identity checks. And it's got a super simple client interface, which works on mobiles as well. So I guess I just wanted to touch on the 4-hour work week as well. So, never automate something that can be eliminated. Never delegate something that can be automated or streamlined. Otherwise, you're wasting your time or someone else's time. So it's your money. So if your admin's spending 2-3 hours onboarding clients, well, they could be doing a whole lot better things like chasing up debtors or just improving your customer relations. So the whole point of the 4-hour work week is to eliminate, automate, and delegate. So same with Seamlss, we're eliminating a lot of that data entry. So if you can connect up from Zapier, if you're using Calendly or Acuity or something like that, maybe HubSpot, pull the data into Seamlss. The data will flow from the client to the engagement letter to XPM. And all of that will be automated because the client's keying in all the data, they're signing the engagement letter, they're doing the verification checks, and Seamlss is just injecting the data into XPM for you. So you've basically automated that whole process with just a couple of clicks. So it doesn't take long. Team will add them to the ATO, verify their identity, and you're done and you're on your way. So that's the whole point of that process. Right now, I'll jump into today's demo. Just swish that out of the way. Well, and so once you've created your login with Seamlss, you'll then be able to use the Xero sign-in, or you can 2FA in with your username and password. This is the Seamlss dashboard. So this is the client lead area. This is what I was saying in regards to Zapier. So Zapier will pull the data and the leads from when they book in with Calendly or Acuity or anything like that. You've also got the lead link option, which I'll touch on that in a minute, in regards to pulling leads in from referrals over email or the website. Excuse me. Also on the dashboard, we've got the re-engagement part of the dashboard. Down here, we've got the follow-up, so you can follow up with the clients that have or haven't done their job. And then you've got all of the bits that are bid completed that you'll be able to action. That's the main area that the admin will hang out. Excuse me for a second. So the quickest way to onboard clients is using the Zapier import function. You can quickly review and send for onboarding. That will pull the details from Calendly and allow you to just get started. Excuse me. So you can add an entity. You can add multiple different types of entities. So it could be SMSFs, trust partnerships, whatever it is that the client's got, and add it along. A lot of firms are using source identity. That's the Seamlss method. You can use the DVS Stripe method, which many people have seen. Basically, that just means that the client will go through the process of utilizing the Stripe tool to take a photo of them as a self, take a photo of their ID, and then it will check that the ID photo is similar to the photo of the selfie that they've checked, and it'll do a couple other little nuancy checks. Maybe it'll look up the address or something, but generally, if the photo looks similar, it'll pass. But I do recommend that you're still checking, even if you're using the DVS method, you still should be checking that you're verifying that that person is who they say they are. Just because Stripe says it is, it doesn't mean it's the be all and end all, because you can get through with a dodgy looking license. With the source method, you can request specific information from the client. And you can also request tax return data, which I'll show as well in a minute. And you can select your engagement letter template that you want to send to the client. We'll send that for onboarding. That will go up to the client. The client will get an email. And once they click on the link, they'll get an SMS, they'll log in. Now, today, if you're not pulling the leads in like this, you're not using Calendly or Acuity or anything like that, that's okay. You can just click Add Client and quickly key in the details while you're on the phone or pulling it from the calendar when they're booked in. And it's just doing the same process of adding the entities and selecting the source and adding the client and sending off the request. So I've already sent off a request earlier so that we can get started today. And I've sent it to Dustin, and I'll just pull that up now. So in this case, the client has clicked on the link, sent the SMS. The SMS will come to my phone. We'll log in. This is how the clients will see it all. Hopefully everyone can see my screen okay at the moment. Just mention in the chat if it's not working, by all means. This is a re-engagement request that I've used to get the client to update their details. So have these details been updated? No, they're not. So I pulled the client from XPM and I want them to update all their details. It doesn't take much for the client to put anything in. As you can see, it's all fairly standard questions to answer and ask for clients. I'll try and go as fast as I can. Same address, tax file number. So tax file numbers in Seamlss are checked, and it needs to be a valid tax file number. Otherwise, the client won't be able to progress any further. And same with the BSBs. The BSBs will also be checked to make sure they are valid. And that one's a CBA Aubrey one. Phone number is invalid. So the phone number is invalid because you can only have one phone number in the system that is unique to that person. They'll all need their own mobile number and email that is unique to them. That's how you log in securely. Everyone's got their own unique ID. Hopefully this isn't going too fast. Obviously, if they're non-trading entities, you can untick that so that there's no ABN required. All companies should have an ACN though. A lot of these are validated for completeness to make sure that we're getting all of that correct. Yeah. Hopefully I can just pre-fill some of this. But as you can see, it's not very difficult for the client to complete. And most clients will do this on their mobile phone. So you can have, obviously, any bank, much like everyone might remember a few BSBs. Doesn't want space. Just going to here. Try and get through this as fast as possible. But as you can see, another number. As you can see, it will validate the form for the client so that they can progress through. This is the tax return request tool as well. So you can actually request the client to fill in and collect their tax return details. Maybe they've got a help loan. Maybe they know some things and not other things. They can just continue on. If they've got wages or salary, they will be required to upload documents because generally everything will be in the pre-fill. If they're accepting everything in the pre-fill, they're probably not going to have any income. The rental property is probably the main one that you will be utilizing, and that will be really great for collecting those documents and making it a smooth, seamless process for the clients. Some firms are using this function, but not everyone, and that's okay because everyone's process is a little bit different, but you get the idea that you can collect all the details from the client in regards to this. They can also upload documents and attach that to the tax return. You can also add multiple rental properties. With the deductions, it's all dynamically created, and it's created to make it easy for the client, but also easy for us as accountants to collect that data. You can also have the logbook method, and then it will dynamically ask for all those details from the client. And again, they can attach documents. Other deduction-wise, you can put in the percentage. So maybe they bought a laptop for $1,000, and they can upload the attachment, save it, move on. Continue there, and then got 3 dependents. I don't have a spouse. I don't have private hospital cover, and I'm going to continue. I'm not going to pay by refund, but I want my tax return done by the end of the month, and that will all go through to the team. Now we'll sign the engagement letter, and it's all there for signing. You can either draw it or you can type it in. Confirm the signature. There's my entities listed with the ACN completed, and then that's going to generate the document and save it back for the client. We can go back to the client dashboard as a client. Here's all the entities and things that I've done. These are the requests that's outstanding that hasn't been completed. And here's a document that was done in the engagement letter. So the client can download the copy of their engagement letter and keep it for themselves. I will close that down now. I'll bring up over here. Just bring this back into display. Hope you can see that now. So now that Dustin has completed his request, maybe he didn't complete the request, and this is where you can send a reminder request by email or an SMS to prompt them again. So generally, as you know, the client will be coming in tomorrow, so we want them to fill out an onboard so that they're in the ATO portal, they're in XPM, they're in Zero Tax, and we can just do their work for them. It can also work in the sense that if you're going to do a client proposal, you can onboard the client before they arrive at the meeting, know how good or bad they are in the ATO portal by adding them as a client, verifying them, and then seeing what their ATO portal looks like. In this case, we can mark it off as complete or push it to XPM, but we're going to go have a look at Dustin just now. Then we can go through and see that he's entered in all his details, his bank details and everything there, his address, the entity details. So we've collected all the details here for the cookie company. Got the forms that have been filled out and the tax return, all the information that I just put in there briefly, the documents that I created, and you can generate the files and then you can download the files as well. Notes, so you can add client notes there with Dustin, and that will save it, log it, so you can have all kinds of different things in there. This will generate who did what and when, so it'll have which admin users or team members or the client who was doing what in that client, bit of an audit history there. You can also delete the client and remove them, either archive them or delete them completely. You probably noticed that I didn't do an identity verification check on Dustin, but I will do one just now just to show you what it looks like. Go back to myself and we'll go identity check. With Seamlss, I've got a quick link here for the matrix of the different methods you can use. So getting the photo ID and checking their details against ATO, similar to DBS, where you should be checking their ID and verifying that they are who they say they are. And if you're not confident or reasonably sure they are who they say they are, request more documents. The beauty of Seamlss is that you can request any documents using the sort method. So you can request a photo ID or a notice assessment or a BAS statement, anything. So if you're doing work on behalf of someone, so Clayton is onboarding on behalf of Seamlss, but Clayton doesn't own Seamlss, you can onboard Clayton and confirm his ability to act on behalf of Seamlss to interact with you as a client, and then therefore onboard them and verify them as a on behalf of client. I'm just going to log into the client area here to show you what it looks like. So the verification request will come through to the client. They get the SMS, they log in. You can see I've done a few demos on this one. I'm going to go down the bottom. Sorry for how fast that goes. It's asked for the photo ID. I'm going to choose my photo ID. Here is my dodgy looking license. I'm going to upload that. And that's completed. And now you'll see that that's now all done. Again, we'll go back to the Seamlss dashboard. You'll see that Clayton has completed his request and the identity check. Here is the identity check. We're going to go down and review the identity, view the file. Here's my dodgy looking license. You can see where you can, what kind of document they provided you. You can mention that, how you did it, whether it was in person or combination or electronically. But the document was good, and you're going to delete the document. If you don't action it on Seamlss within 7 days, we will delete the document automatically for you. So you've only got 7 days to action a verification process and mark them as verified. Once they're marked as verified, process is done, and then it'll log it for you. So as per the ATO TBD requirements, it'll say when it was verified, who did it, what document that they used, how you cited it, and that it was in good quality. So that's the log that you need for the Tax Practitioners Board. So for all you XPM users out there, the biggest time saver part is the push to XPM, which is what everyone wants. So what Seamlss will do is look up your XPM, assess if the client is in XPM. If it's in already, it'll sync and match it up and say, oh, Clayton's already in here, it was last synced today, and you can just sync the client, and it's pretty much instantaneous, and you can view that client in XPM. Unfortunately, the limitation with XPM is we can get all the data in, but the main thing we can't get in is the bank details. The API is over 10 years old and it hasn't been updated since Xero even took it over. We are requesting that we get bank details access because we think it's super important for security that it's in there. As you can see with companies or new companies, it will check if it's matched. So it's matched on an ACN. So it's sort of saying, Seamlss is going, oh, we think these entities are the same. And it is a match. So therefore you can merge and sync that data to XPM. And it's saying that the TFN already exists. So obviously I've got fake data in here, so it's got a mismatch. But if you're not sure, you can add it as a new entity. Generally, if it's a new client, it's a new entity, but the whole point is to make sure that you're not getting duplicate data or overriding the right data. So I'll close that now. With the bank details, you can just quickly copy. We've got copy buttons here in Seamlss, so you can just copy and paste it straight in. So that's onboarding the client. You've got all the details of the client there. It's all pushing to XPM. Next, I'll just briefly show that you can cancel requests. And the other key thing that keeping documents off email is super important. So we've got the fetch request. What the fetch request looks like is that you can ask for any information you want from the client and we'll keep it all off email. So you could put in a question, please send me your trust deed for your trust. File upload. Save the question, and then you can send that off to the client, and they will upload the trust deed for you, and it'll keep it all off email. You can also create your own templates, so you can ask a bunch of questions from the client, and they can fill it in, and you can send it off. Again, keeping it all off email, keeping it all secure. So you can either use templates or customize your own or add on additional questions as well. It's very flexible and dynamic in that sense. The forms are here. You can create your own forms, edit the forms, change the questions, similar to what I was just showing before. There's a bunch of different options in there that you can create a form with. The templates, you've got all the different email templates for when you're requesting documents or re-engagements, so that you can edit them to suit you. If you're using Practice Ignition, just copy the terms and conditions from Ignition and paste it in there. If you're using one engagement letter, just copy and paste it into the default save it in there, and there's your engagement letter done. This is what it looks like on the right-hand side, and this is where you can edit it on the left-hand side. You can have as many engagement letters as you like. I guess the key is to make sure that you can manage and work them into your processes as easy as possible. Many firms only have one engagement letter. Settings-wise, put your own logo in, color. It'll show you what the brand's going to look like. The general settings. So if you're a bookkeeping firm, you might use the bookkeeping disable TFN, so therefore no TFNs will be requested. If you're a bookkeeping firm, it'll just not show that on any form at all. Some firms are very consulting based and they don't want tax file numbers required. So that will mean that clients can fill in all of the details without confirming a tax file number. As a tax agent, and adding people to the portal is very important to me. It's always on required for myself. The lead generation link, this is where the data will flow through to the dashboard, so you can send it for referrals and things like that. So you can key in your own personal message here, whatever you think that needs to look like, and then what lead links you're going to send them to. So you could give them a white paper, a video, a downloadable, whatever it is you want out of your lead link. And you can copy your link. This is for your firm only. And you can copy anything in there and they can write messages. They can write messages and then submit it. Once that submits, here's the link, and that could be anything. That could take them to the website, to a video, to a white paper, whatever it is that you want to share with your lead clients in that sense. Integration-wise, so Zapier, there's a little simple guide here on how to fill that connection in if you do want to connect up Zapier to pull the data in. XPM, just click the button. It takes 2 seconds. You've probably done it before. If you are using Practice Ignition, how Seamlss works with that is you can use this similar to the lead link and do it with Ignition. Just explain how in that section there. This is all will be consistent. So the link is a singular link for all clients to use. So if you know Practice Ignition, at the end, once they've signed and engaged, there's a end message template. Again, there's a little setup guide here to show you how to guide you through that process. But once you've set how you want them to onboard every time, they won't sign an engagement letter because they just signed one in Ignition, but they basically can go from Ignition to Seamlss and start onboarding themselves. They'll start adding their entities and they'll start the process themselves. So hopefully if you send it on a Friday, by the time you come in on Monday, they've signed their Ignition, they've onboarded themselves, added their source identity request or Stripe DVS request, and they're onboarded by the time you come Monday. It's just a smooth process. Users, have as many users as you want. Generally, Seamlss is an admin-driven task. It saves a lot of admin time. Single firm owners obviously use it a lot, but also the admin teams of bigger firms. Notifications, so you can select where all your notifications. I generally recommend all the notifications go to a generic email address so that someone's always actioning it, especially the identity verification, because you want it action within 7 days before it gets deleted. The data center, this is an important area where you can connect up to XPM and import all of your clients from XPM. So you can import a client and then attach their entities to that client, and that will connect up the entities, and then they'll be listed in the client area. So in regards to Clayton Wood, I'll just show myself. That one. I'll show myself. The entities will show up as unfilled. So you see here that they haven't been requested or anything, but they've been imported from XPM. There's already some data been pulled from XPM, and then obviously you'll be able to send it out to request. This is where the re-engagement part comes in, because you can pull the clients in from XPM, join them up with their entities, and then review for engagement. So that'll confirm their name, details, all their bank details, their addresses, and things like that for each entity in themselves. You can also use the re-engagement to request ITR data. If it's just an ITR for a singular person, you likely use it in that sense. You can get the engagement letter signed and send it off for re-engagement. So therefore, every year or every time a job comes in, my recommendation is when a job comes in, Clayton's dropped his work in, he wants his job done. That's the time when you send out the re-engagement request. Even if you're not getting the engagement letter signed because you've done it in Ignition, I get them to sign it anyway because I know that all of the entities will be listed on the engagement letter. But the beauty of it is when the job comes in, Clayton confirms all his details, updates his address, and then when the job goes out, it's got the correct details on the tax return and the financials and things like that. So you've always got up-to-date details. Not to mention, you've now also got up-to-date engagement letters. So if you're not using Ignition, you can annualize your re-engagement process and have up-to-date details and engagement letters quite simply with Seamlss. It will also show up in the re-engagement dashboard when they haven't re-engaged in 12 months or whatever it is that setting you've got set to. That is most of the demo. The other key factor I wanted everyone to be aware of, on our website, you can start for free and get a 14-day trial. You can utilize the Xerocon23 promo code, and that'll get you a yearly subscription for $450 for this year. So that's 1,200 requests. A request, which is what I get a lot of questions about. One request is when you just send it off. So if you sent off a renewal, that's one request. There might be 5 or 6 entities, but that's just one request. If you're sending an onboarding request and you're sending it to Clayton, and you're going to add, again, 5 entities, it's still just one request. If it's got identity check, one request. If it's got ITR form in it, it's still one request. That is one request. So you've got 1,200 requests for $450 if you sign up in September. Also on the website is a bunch of help documents. The main one that I want you to look at is the setting up the firm. If you go through and set up your own firm, it's not that difficult. Most firms do it just fine. There's a video there, it goes for about 8 minutes. It'll take you through the process. It's fairly straightforward. If you want some help though, by all means, reach out. I'm here to help. Happy to guide you through the process. That is overall everything. Does anyone got any questions? Any messages? Nothing. Everyone must be loving my demo. I'm just going to come back. So bring this one back over here. Present again. Oh, we've got a question. Does it group the clients next to them? Not yet. So it is on our roadmap to build out the grouping and relationship engine within Seamlss so that you can group them all together. Because there's a bit more to it with grouping where it might be that Clayton and Daniel are part of Seamlss, but we only have our own entities as well. But then for Seamlss, we want to sign the engagement letter of both parties. So we're still building out that part of the app. It's definitely on our roadmap to make that happen because we think that it's important that everyone can engage them in one go and have all of those relationships built in. So benefits of Seamlss, as you can see, the efficiency, the client will literally key in the data from the beginning when they book in. The data can flow from that booking right through to XPM with very minimal data entry by the team. Therefore, it's more accurate because the client's keyed it all in. The compliance-wise, you've got the signed engagement letter. It's a standard process, a standard practice for the team to follow. Integration-wise, it's going to go straight in XPM. The overall client experience is going to be just so much better because they're just doing one app and one flow. A lot of people are using different forms and different collection methods, and then they're getting on Zoom. It's just very disjointed for the client, whereas with Seamlss, they're just doing one seamless process from start to finish. If there's any more questions, go for it. Can you automate the re-engagement going out, or is this a manual process? At the moment, it's a manual process. We're in the middle of currently building out our automation engine, so you will see that in the coming months, that will be adding more automations so that you could just potentially send it out on an annual automated basis, or it might be just June where you're just like, I'm going to just send them all out before the year's over to get them all up to date and done. We are in the process of building out a custom field area for the onboarding process and in general, so that you can create your own custom form and attach that to any request, including the onboarding request, and therefore some of those custom fields will be pushed into XPM, but we don't have that built just yet. It's coming. When you re-engage, will it pre-fill their details into the check? Yes. So you may have seen it. Just go back. How do I get out? Yeah. So when you're in the re-engagement part, you'll see that if you look at my one as an example, I've imported entities from XPM, so via the data center, and then I'm going to send it for re-engagement. All of the entities are there, including the ones from the data center, hence why there's some duplicates. And you can obviously just untick that or remove them. And then you're going to send it for the request. So their details will be in that check. There is on the website, again, if you look at the Seamlss website, there is a video of a re-engagement, and basically it'll say, have your details changed? And they'll just say yes or no and continue through the process. It's down here somewhere. You can check that out. Next question was, can you customize the form, make mandatory fields? When you're doing the custom form builder, yes, you can make them mandatory. So there is the option when is required. So when you're making your own custom forms, yes, you can make them mandatory. When uploading multiple entities, do you need to know exactly how many and what they are named? As in, do they have the option to add more? Yeah. So if you onboard a client and you missed an entity because you weren't aware of it, they can actually add their own entities from here as themselves. So there is the ability for the client to add additional entities in Seamlss. Any other questions? I think I've answered them all. Come back to my awesome Canva display. Questions. So hopefully that, don't be shy to keep asking more questions. I'm not going to run away, but hopefully that whole demo and experience is showing you that part where I talked about the automate and eliminate. So you're automating the process from the sense that the data's flowing. It's going from the client into Seamlss, from Seamlss back to the client. Client's filling it all out. And then you're going to check it, verify the client, you've got a signed engagement letter, and then you're going to push it to XPM. So you've got one app that's doing all of that for you for that onboarding process. And I think that's not too bad at 35 minutes. Hopefully there's no other questions, and I've answered everyone's questions. But obviously the key is to definitely reach out if you need help with onboarding or have any questions or want any updates. One thing actually I didn't show you is that new in the client area is the documents. So the client can also download their own documents, including their engagement letter. So they can log into the app themselves and download their own engagement letters. And that's just simply by going to the login page, and they request their own login token. They'll get an email, they'll get an SMS, they'll log in. It's fairly straightforward from that sense. And then, yeah, because I'm a firm user and a client, I can switch between the dashboard just by clicking on the logo up in the top left here. I think that's about it. Really want to thank everyone for joining us on the webinar today. Like I said, feedback is key. That's how we're making the app better every day. You'd be amazed at the amount of times people have asked for little changes and adjustments, and they have been welcomed and added to the app. And we're constantly adding more and more features and functions as the months continue on. Hopefully we'll see you all onboarding the Seamlss way in the near future. Thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you all soon. Reach out if you need me. Thanks. Oh. Description towards what happens at the end of the year if not all used. They'll just be gone. So this is each year you get 1,200 requests, which is a lot of requests, but that's where we sort of landed with what we thought was fair. So it's normal annual price is $550, but with the Xerocon special, it's $450 for 1,200 requests. We don't have a rollover provision yet. Haven't really thought about it, to be honest. But yeah, basically the requests would just, the next year you'll get another 1,200. If you do it monthly, it's $50 a month, and you get 100 requests. But most firms are just doing the 450 annual, and they're getting 1,200 for the year, because some months you'll have a lot of requests, and then other months you'll have might not have many. So it just depends on how much you're using the app, how much you're using the re-engagement function and the onboarding function. I think that was all there done. Again, you can reach out. Clayton@seamless.com.au is my email or contact. You've also got the contact form on the website to contact us. So don't be shy to use that. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. And we'll see you again real soon. Thank you so much.